In this video, we got another episode of this series where I rate and improve you guys' teams. You guys will send me your teams on Twitter at X7Tanaka. I'll put a tweet maybe every couple of days, every 2 to 3 days, asking for squads, and then you guys reply to that tweet with your team and how much MT you guys have, and then I'll go through and pick like 7 people and put them in the video. So if you guys want to be featured in one of these rate and improve your team's video, make sure to go to my Twitter and reply to that tweet. But if you guys also want me to look at your squad or at least give you my suggestions, you can comment your team down below under the YouTube video. If you guys give me your team and how much MT you guys have, I'll try to go through as many comments as possible and tell you guys, my best suggestions to help improve your guys' team. But looking at the first team here of the video, comes in from Drew. He's got a really good squad and about 1.3 mil to work with. He's got endgame KD, Invincible Victor, endgame D-Rob. He's got the Galley Sopo Yao. So this squad for the rating is really up there. Like I would say easily a 9.5. The bench is a little bit weaker, and that's probably where I would improve, is going to be with the bench. So it really depends how much MT you want to spend. So I think your starting lineup is pretty much good to go. If you want to make like some small cheaper upgrades, I would get the out of position Nikola Jokic to play over Anthony Black. That's if you want to go cheap. And then for like the backup shooting guard position, go ahead and get yourself like even a Danny Granger. I think is a lot better than Terry Dishinger, and he's only about 90k. Jokic is about 20,000 MT, and then I think you're pretty much good to go. I would just get a better backup center. I would go another cheap card like a Mark Eden, right? So if you can make those 3 small upgrades for maybe like 150,000 MT at most, I think that's going to help improve your team a ton. Getting Mark Eden for backup center, getting Danny Granger for backup shooting guard, and then getting out of position Jokic for backup point guard. Now, if you want to go a little bit crazier, you could get potentially like an endgame LeBron or an endgame Luka or Jimmy Butler, something crazy like that. You could go after like endgame Paul George or Invincible T-Mac to play as your backup shooting guard. I think those could be some bigger upgrades, but I think even just getting Jokic, getting Danny Granger, Mark Eden will make your squad a whole lot better. Now looking at the next team here, coming in from Nugget 115, he's got 500,000 MT to work with, and he is a no money spend player. So 500,000 MT in this type of squad, I would say like a 8.5. I would say probably for the rating 8 to 8.5. I think there could be some pretty big upgrades for your squad. So I like Ben Simmons, I like KD. I would just move KD to the shooting guard position, and then for your starting small forward spot with 500k to work with, I think interdimensional Bol is the perfect small forward. So you could go Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Bol, and then for starting power forward, even like an Anderson Varejao is an amazing pickup. Or if you want to go for like a Taco Fall for some more height, you want to go for a Victor Wembanyama, his next card. I think those could be some great power forwards. Let's just say you want to go next Victor Wembanyama, so he can be your starting power forward alongside Bol, KD, Ben Simmons, and Rick Smith. That's going to be an amazing starting lineup. And then off the bench for backup point guard, I would just get like an Invincible Penny Hardaway or an out of position Nikola Jokic. Tons of different point guards you can go with. For backup shooting guard, I think Terry Dishinger's fine. For backup small forward, I would get Kevin Garnett. You can keep Kenyon Martin if you want to, because he's still a really good small forward, but I like KG for his size and his defense. And then I'd move D-Rob to backup power forward and get Dark Matter Mark Eden or Dark Matter Ralph Sampson for your backup center position, and I think that'll really help out. Or if you want to go Pink Diamond Taco Fall to play your backup power forward position and then just keep D-Rob at center. But those would be my suggestions for your squad, but already a pretty solid squad. Looking at the next team here though, coming in from HS Boss, he's got 150,000 MT, and he says Cade is untradeable. So 150k to work with isn't a whole lot, but you can still make some pretty decent upgrades. For the rating, another like 8.5 out of 10 team. Just a good all-around squad, maybe a 9. Like you got Bol, you got Yao, you got some really tall and great cards in here. I think your starting lineup is fine. I think it really just comes down to the bench. Maybe upgrading that small forward, power forward, position. I would go Kevin Garnett as your backup small forward. I do think he's a lot better than James Worthy. And then for backup power forward, that's where I'd make like the big upgrade and get like a Victor Wembanyama or get a Taco Fall. Both those cards are definitely in your price range, and you can start them next to Yao Ming, or you can just have them coming off the bench next to Mark Eden. But that would be my main suggestion. Get Kevin Garnett for backup small forward, and then either Pink Diamond Taco or the next Victor Wembanyama to play over Jack Sigma. But looking at the next team here, coming in from Jalen, another pretty decent team, 200,000 MT to work with. I think this squad is probably like a 7.5 to maybe 8 out of 10. It's another decent team, but could definitely use some upgrades. So with 200,000 MT, what I would do, keep Kata starting point guard, keep Doug Christie. I like your point guards. For your power forward position, I like Anderson Varejao. I would move him to the bench, and I would go, let's say, Pink Diamond Taco, right? 50k for Pink Diamond Taco, and then you have Varejao coming off the bench. For your 2 shooting guards, I would just go Radiant T-Mac and go Interdimensional Tim Thomas. They're going to be dirt cheap, only about 10 to 15k for each, and they can be your 2 shooting guards. So now your point guards are good, your shooting guards are good, and your power forwards are good. And then what I would do is move Big Z to backup small forward, and then I would get a Dark Matter KG, or if you want to spend a lot more MT, maybe go after an Interdimensional Bull who can play your starting small forward position. Like I said, your power forwards are good with Taco and Varejao. And then for your 2 centers, I would go Mark Eden and Ralph Sampson, who are just going to be really good, basic giant centers that you can get for fairly cheap. Mark Eden about 35k, Ralph Sampson about 40,000 MT. So that should be in your price range of about 200k. And if you can make those suggestions, I do think your team does become a lot better. Looking at the next squad here, though, coming in from Nathan, he says he's got about 80,000 MT to work with. Clicked on the wrong name, or clicked on the wrong team. About 80,000 MT to work with. Tatum is unauctionable, so is Jokic and Doug. And then he says he's a huge Arkansas fan, so I don't want to replace Black. So he wants to keep Anthony Black on the team. And he said, obviously, Doug and Jokic are untradeable. So looking at this type of team, rating out of 10, probably like a 8 to 8.5. It's a good squad, nothing too crazy, but definitely a good team. What I would do is decide who you want your point guards to be, because right now you got too many small shooting guards. Like, you can't have a 6'5" Anthony Edwards and a 6'3" Curry on the court at the same time. You're just going to be way too undersized. So it depends, what point guards you want to run. Do you want to go Curry, Anthony Black? Do you want to go Ant and Anthony Black? Like, just depends, pick your 2 point guards between the 4 you have currently. So whether it's, like I said, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Black, or whether it's Doug Christie and Anthony Black, you can decide, for those 2 point guards. I'll just choose, let's say, Anthony Edwards, or I'll choose Doug Christie and Anthony Black. And then if you want to sell Anthony Edwards, you can definitely go ahead and do so. Now for the 2 shooting guard positions, this is where you go dirt cheap and you go the Danny Granger, or not Danny Granger, you go the Tim Thomas, you go the Tracy McGrady routes, where they're only going to cost you, let's say, 20,000 MT at most for each. That's 40k, so you spend half your budget, but you get 2 really good offensive shooting guards. I like your small forwards with Tatum and Bull. Your power forwards, I think, are really good as well with Kristaps and Jokic. So I think you're pretty much good to go there. If you wanted to get Anderson Varejao, I think he's a lot better than Nikola Jokic and can be your backup power forward position. But for me, it's really just upgrading your 2 shooting guard positions, getting T-Mac and Tim Thomas, who are going to be really, really cheap, but also great cards. Now looking at the next squad here, coming in from, I guess, 037537, no idea. But yeah, he's got about 400,000 MT to work with. And a decent team. Like, I would say this is another 9 out of 10 squad. Like, just a pretty good team. 9 out of 10, I would say, for the rating. For the suggestions, I think unless you just love Steph Curry, you probably want to get a better point guard. Whether you move LaMelo Ball to, backup point guard and have Jokic starting, let's just go ahead and do that. So let's say you got Jokic as starting point guard and LaMelo as your backup point guard. For your 2 shooting guard positions, looks like your backup is probably Tim Thomas and your starting is KD. I think that's fine. Your 2 small forwards are Bull and KG. I think that's fine. You got Victor Wembanyama and Taco, and then probably probably Kristaps and Yao. So with 380,000 MT, if you just want to make one small upgrade, I would just get Mark Eden to play over Kristaps as your backup center. And I think that's all you really have to do, all you really need to do. Now, if you wanted to make a better upgrade at like shooting guard, I think Danny Granger could be a really good option at the shooting guard position. Or if you wanted to go after a top tier end game, you could go for like a D-Rob or a Shaq if you wanted to make that big upgrade. But honestly, I think just get Mark Eden for backup center and you'll have that giant card over Kristaps, and I think you'll be pretty much good to go. But now looking at the last team here, guys, coming in from Matt, he says budget is 300,000 MT. And another amazing squad. Like, this is easily a 9 to 9.5 out of 10, somewhere in that rating, range. He's got Jokic, KD, Bull, Wemby, Yao. So I think your starting lineup is pretty much good to go. Don't think you have to make any upgrades there. For your bench, I would just try to get a little bit taller. So what I would do is move Kristaps to power forward and then look for a better backup center. So that means you got to decide between Paolo Banchero and Giannis. I would go Banchero personally, but if you want to keep Giannis over Banchero, you definitely can do so. I like Ben Simmons, I like Tim Thomas, so I would just look for a better backup center, and I think your really only option is going to be Mark Eden. Once again, I think that's all you really need for this type of team. Now, if you want to upgrade your backup power forward spot, you could go for maybe, Pink Diamond Taco to play over Kristaps. You could even go for Anderson Varejao. I think he's amazing at power forward. So yeah, I think really just like a Mark Eden and maybe a Taco Fall suggestion for your backup center and backup power forward position. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of this series where I rate and improve your guys' team. If you guys want to let me know your teams down below, like I said, I'll try to go through as many squads as possible and give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your guys' team. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.